Y'all, welcome to episode 43 of Soul Seed Conversations, your neighborhood mental health podcast. My name is Soliel Lindsey. I am your host, and I am also the owner of Soul Rise Essentials, where we are passionate about mental health, not only mental health, but mental wellness. And this podcast is a way that we create a community called the Soul Tribe family around mental wellness. Soul Seed Conversations is a mental health podcast for humans on the grow. We share stories of resilience, we build global community, and we help you discover new ways to thrive via the brave voices of others. I am so excited about today's guest. I'm always excited for every single guest, but I've been watching B-Love's journey, aka Brandon, aka B-Love. Y'all gonna get to know him and all his accolades and all the things that he's known for in the community. So I'm excited about this one, just for a lot of personal reasons, because I've been following his journey for a while. So super excited about that. But y'all know what we do here. We always get into some announcements. I know y'all, if y'all are watching a visual version of this, you can see a big change, honey. I done went blonde, looking like my mother, which is wild. My mom wore this hair color, blonde, almost my entire childhood. Yeah, and my late uncle as well. Y'all, first announcement is that today is my 6-year-old's birthday. I have been a mother for 6 whole years, and as you can see, the baby ain't stopped nothing, honey. I'm fine, like wine, get better, and all of that jazz. So if you are a mom, don't feel like you have to lose yourself to motherhood, honey. Find those small pockets of time, those small pockets of joy to invest into you, to remember those things that you are and were and you enjoyed before motherhood, because it is all encompassing. And I will be the first to tell you that it ain't easy, especially coming from a single mom, okay? So I got to take care of my own mental health and practice mental wellness. And so I just want to send love to all my mamas out there. And a big shout out to my baby boy, Samad. That is my boo. If you are following us on Instagram, then you probably saw the story that I shared in my stories today when he was 4. Also, y'all, stay tuned because my birthday is in 2 days. And a special announcement will be coming first to everybody who's part of our VIP Soul Tribe family. The way that you can do that is by going to our website, soulriseessentials.com, and putting in your email and or text message to receive alerts from us, because I'm going to be dropping something in about 2 days. Okay, y'all will be the first people to know about it. So let's see, what other announcements? If you want to shop our mental health merchandise, you can go to soulriseessentials.com. That's SOL. Let me show you my coffee mug, child, so you can get the spelling, honey. SOLRISE and then essentials with an S.com. We make mental health merchandise for folks that like to spread good vibes, for folks that like to remind others to shine their light, for those who want to remind themselves to shine their light. Our pieces are conversation starters. This hoodie, well, I actually have the crew neck on today. We have hoodies in this as well. Do good, be good is such a simple, profound statement. I love like the font. It's very clean, very simple. All of our merch for the most part is unisex. And this message, you can see this across Richmond, Virginia, where I live at, but it's literally everywhere. Our merchandise has traveled beyond, different time zones and different countries, but do good, be good is a very simple message. So I decided to wear this today because we got a couple more days, maybe weeks, where I can still get away with wearing a crew neck. So I threw this on, but you can shop this. They come in so many different colors. Today I have a more muted color because, the hair bright, this bright. If I wanted to do it, if I felt like matching the nails, I definitely got a pack like lime green crew neck I could have threw on with this, but I just decided to go with this. And then I would have had to iron it too. It was a little wrinkle, but saying all that to say, our mental health merchandise is available for you, available for your kids. Dead serious. We make stuff for kids as well. Your mama, your granddaddy. We have a beautiful, perfect for Father's Day coming up, Dad, Daddy, Father Essential t-shirt. And B, if you ain't got one of those, you need to copy one of those, okay? But that is a great gift for Father's Day. I'm redesigning our Mother's Day t-shirt, or just Mother's Affirmation t-shirt. So that should be coming maybe this year, maybe next year. I'm not sure yet. But go shop our merchandise. I am also a speaker. I'm available for your speaking engagements. I work with organizations, individuals, corporate groups, etc., college, universities, high schools, etc. So you can find out more information about that at booksoleil.com. That's SOLIEL.com. And then also for our podcast, I always like to share a trigger warning. Even though we discuss mental health here, we are not doctors. We are not treating or diagnosing. We are simply humans living and sharing our lived experiences. Okay, so saying that also on the trigger warning side, like if there's something that's shared that resonates deeply with you and it may be a little bit traumatic or bringing up some emotions for you that you're kind of uncomfortable sitting in, baby, pause it, cut it off, come back or not. You know, we want you to take care of yourself. These are just experiences and stories that are shared to encourage you, to help you practice more resilience and to see yourself through other people's in other people's story. But even if you can't relate, you know, maybe you know somebody you can share this with. Brandon's story is very incredible. And even if you don't know anybody or you don't relate to the stories, they are just very encouraging. Check us out on YouTube. You can go back and look at all the other episodes. They are absolutely amazing. Every once in a while, we will have like a therapist or somebody with credentials, letters behind their name in the mental health space. But when they're in the soul seat, they are operating as a human being and not a person with letters behind their name. So lastly, I want to share, if you have a personal story that you would like to share, a resilient story, a mental health story, whatever it is, child, go ahead and reach out to us at My Story at soulriseessentials.com. We would love to consider your story, see if it's a good fit for our podcast. I definitely will be reaching out to you to make a connection once we hear your story, if it's a good fit. Would love to have you on the podcast. And I think that's the last announcement. Y'all know I like to get them out the way because we only do this podcast once a month. And so got to get those out the way. All right, I'm just sharing this with a couple people to join us live. For y'all watching the replay, y'all put it down in the comment section. Hashtag replay. All right, Brandon, I hope you're ready. I hope you sat through all the announcements. And it was worth the wait. We about to have a really good time, y'all. Let me refresh and hydrate, honey. I got to flip the mug over so y'all can see. Listen, branding is everything, okay? You see it. You see it. Soul Seat Conversations for Humans on the Go. All right, Brandon, I'm bringing you in. Lord, I ain't did this in a month. This feels like longer than a month. Okay. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do it. Hi, good morning.
Peace, peace. Good morning. Can you see me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Let's do it.
Hey, let's do it. Whether the people doing live, afterwards, it don't matter. We're about to have a great conversation.
Yeah.
First of all, Soul C, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, it's a blessing to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's an honor. I've seen the last episode I saw with Paula G. That was amazing. That was definitely heart aching, heart pulling. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for what we got to talk about today, and I'm excited for everything else you got to bring to fruition.
Absolutely. So I want you to introduce yourself really quickly. Before you do that, I'll just tell people what I know about you and your journey. I don't know everything, but we both in Virginia, which is not a big place. And I know that you are in the wellness space and like in the art type space and in the Black consciousness space and in the Christian space, have done so many different things. And so I've seen you, but we just haven't physically crossed paths. But as I know how the universe works, I'll probably see you in the grocery store next week. But I've seen, you know, a lot of the things that you and your family are into. Y'all have a business, you have different types of businesses, family businesses. So tell us who you are in your own words.
Okay. Yeah, so I usually like to say I'm just B. I'm Brandon, young man from Southside Richmond. I'm no different from you. I'm no different from the people you see walking around every single day. I always say like I'm just a human, but at the end of the day, just on the background, just a history of me, who is Brandon, who is B Love.
Mhm.
Like I said, a young kid from Southside who grew up watching the world, seeing it for what it was, seeing the different changes, and always wanted to do something about it, say something about it, speak on it. And so I grew up writing poetry. I grew up writing spoken word, and that's what kind of introduced me to the city of Richmond. And with that, I ended up going into a lot of community work, serving the youth, serving houseless individuals, things of that nature, people battling addiction, substance abuse, sorts of things. But ultimately, I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a husband, I'm a lover, I'm a fighter. I'm a child of God. I'm a kingdom servant, and I'm just here to share my voice in whichever way God needs me to share it today, and whichever hat He has me wearing today.
Yes, I love that. You're just sharing your light, the light that he put inside of you. That's pretty much to sum all the awesome things that you've done and are into. That's I feel like that's how it sums up.
Most definitely.
You know, I was listening to that, and then I saw a post on your Facebook recently. I was gonna ask you initially a question, but now I actually know the answer to it. I was gonna ask you where you get this confidence and like this umption to do all the different things that you just told me that you do. And I mean, I know it's other explanations, but I'm an Aries.
Yeah.
I just found out you were Aries, so
Yeah.
like, we have a natural born inclination to be leaders and to say what's on our mind and to be honest about it. So what are your personal thoughts? Like, where do you get the umption and the confidence to do all the things that you do?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to my DNA. You know what I'm saying? I love the people I come from. I love the shoulders that I stand on, the ones who came before me. They definitely influence the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I move. What's up, fam? The way I stand in this community. And ultimately, you know what I'm saying? Just my upbringing. You know, I didn't really have a choice to be timid. You know, my dad always said, "Closed mouths don't get fed." So speaking up for yourself and speaking up for what you want in this life, that's just what's ingrained in me outside of my DNA, outside of, just my own heart. My father and my mother raised a man who made sure that they spoke up and used his voice. And then ultimately, I guess you can say being on stage since a very young age, that always gave me a different level of confidence as well. Because they say, I guess, public speaking is the biggest fear for humans worldwide, So I guess if you get across that fear at 9, 10 years old and you doing dope things with that, then that gives you another level of confidence as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say just walking how I walk and talking how I talk, and at the end of the day, glory be to God, because God is my strength in everything that I do. So He is the one who authored and ordained everything that I've experienced to give me this gift and ability to walk with confidence.
Yeah, that is amazing. So when you say 9, 10 years old, what were you doing exactly, like public speaking wise?
Yeah, so I went to Lodge House Academy. It was a Christian private, well, it is a Christian private school in Richmond, Virginia. Started in Gilpin Court, for individuals who growing up in just impoverished communities. But when I went there, it was probably around, I think, 2005, 2006. I went there from third to ninth grade. And in that, ever since third grade, we had this thing called oratorical competitions. And
Hmm.
so it was cool in third grade, you doing it with your classmates. But as we grew older, you had to do it by yourself. And so as you grew older, probably around sixth grade, seventh grade, that's when it got a little more serious. Eighth grade, I had to memorize a passage of the Bible and then give my own rendition of what I believe the pastor in the sermon was saying. That was a young eighth grade. I was about a year younger than everybody in my class. Skipped a grade when I was in kindergarten, somewhere around there. But
Wow.
long story short, went through this like the oratorical. I loved it. I fell in love early, and we had a competition from eighth through 12th grade. And again, I was in eighth grade. I ended up winning first place that year. The
Wow.
second year, and then winning second place, but everybody said I should have won first place. But that's a whole other conversation. I got to talk to my boy Glenn about. He won first place. But long story short, just the gift of like just being on stage early again, speaking. I mean, it was at least probably 100, 150 people. You know what I'm saying, in these little rooms while I'm speaking, doing a whole presentation. I'll send you the video once we get off
Yeah.
this. But yeah, just that just allowed me to again use my voice, and then growing up. Around 5, 10 years later, doing poetry live, you know what I'm saying, on different stages in the city of Richmond. So
Mm.
yeah, that's kind of the direction of where it's been coming from. But yeah, oratorical was back in the Lodge House Academy from like third grade up into ninth grade.
Yeah, you are a born speaker, and I love the fact that you are a black man and as a child, black boy, like that's so important. And I love that that school has that oratorical presentation, especially for little boys, because as we
Yeah,
know, so many black boys, men in general, boys in general, we see this a lot. It's not like a blanket statement because this doesn't apply to everybody, but we do
right.
see it and not
Yeah,
that boys know how to express themselves, and boys grow up and they turn into men and they don't know how to verbally
yeah,
express themselves.
yeah.
So it sounds like you've figured that out, and a lot of it had to do with just who you were as a person, but that training that you got in school. Before we delve more into your story, there's a segment that I like to start off with, and it's simply asking, how is your mental health on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the greatest? Where you at right now? How's your mental health in this very moment?
Ooh. In this very moment, I'm probably like a easy 3. I would give myself a 3 today. I'm on a high and I'm on a bump on the road. So I'm navigating. Being a dad and being a father, being a husband, that always has its thing. So every day is something new or something different. So Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a three. I made a beautiful three, a
A
grateful three.
yeah,
Yeah.
good even keel place to be. I
Yeah.
like to answer as well. Thank you for sharing. So where am I at? Like in this moment where I'm at. In this moment, I feel good. It's sunny outside. My boy just turned 6 today. I would say I'm like a 4.5.
Yeah,
But
that's nice.
where I've been recently, I'd say about the last month or so, I was having a little bout of baby depression going
Mm,
on. Doing good. I probably was like a 1.5
wow.
or something like
Yeah.
that. But what I did immediately, because as you know, which we'll talk about later, there's tools that we have. And I
Hmm.
know how to identify the feeling, first of all. And is this a
Right.
feeling? This is a state of mind I'm in. I had to figure that out.
Right.
Um, I reached out to my twin sister and I told my folks, my closest friends, like how I was doing, because the worst thing we can do in those moments is stay in a
Hmm.
cocoon by ourselves. There's a time for isolation, but there's
Yeah.
always a community.
Yeah.
Even if I physically decided to stay by myself, my community, I still let them in by at least telling them what was going on with me. So
Yeah.
day in this moment, I feel excellent, but it's been rough the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's for real. Hey, that season, we come through a season shift as well, so I definitely understand. Things are changing, things are shifting. We're in a different world. Things happen every day. So thankfully, like you said, we're gonna talk about it later, but the tools, that's the thing that keeps us grounded, keep us rooted. And I definitely understand that isolation piece because that's usually one of my first choices. It used to be one of my first plays, choosing isolation. So shout out to you for choosing community. That's dope.
Yeah, man, I had to do it. Now, what I would like to go into, do you practice any like mindful breathing exercises on your own?
Yeah, I'm glad we had that pause. We didn't just jump right in at 12 to 12:07 piece. So yeah, from 12 to 12:07, I was just doing my deep breathing
Yeah,
meditation, doing a body scan and everything. So that felt really
I
good to keep.
love.
Whenever I get it, whenever I speak, I always feel like ever since I was a kid, I felt this energy inside me. I thought it was nervous energy. I exchanged it for excited energy, knowing that you're going to say something that's positive, that's worth it, that's valuable. But yeah, I definitely have had to adopt breathing techniques over the years to channel that energy as best as I
That's
can.
good. That's good. So for me, I like to do box breathing on the podcast. Very quick. We're gonna do it 4 times. You inhale for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, and we do that 4 times. Very
Right.
easy, very accessible. I've actually had a couple people reach out to me. I just talked to somebody, my dad, yesterday. And
Yeah.
like, yo, I was using that breathing exercise at the grocery store the other day, and then my home. B out in Florida, he told me it's been working for him. So we're gonna keep rolling because you never know what episode somebody gonna watch, and if I don't do it, they might not see it.
Yeah.
So, and then
That's
also
it.
helps to kind of recenter us. Whatever was happening before the podcast, we recentering ourselves in this moment right now. So, you ready to rock?
Let's do it.
All right. So I just like to say, sit up nice and tall, feet flat, and just relax your body. And we're gonna get into it. Go ahead and inhale for 4, and hold 2, 3, 4. Release. One more time. Inhale for 4 and hold, release. Third one. Inhale and hold, release. Last one. Inhale for 4. Hold it and release. That was good for me. I don't
That's
know about
great.
you.
Yeah.
Did it, but
That foundational number right there. I like that. I like that for sure.
yes, so let's get into it. So we left off at you kind of being a natural born speaker,
Mm.
essentially. You touched on being from Richmond, Virginia, from Southside. What was it like growing up in your house and growing up in Southside, Richmond, Virginia?
Oh man. So yeah, that's a beautiful story. So I love my parents. My parents fought hard to give me, what I'm saying, everything they could and everything they didn't have. But even growing up in
Uh-oh, your sound went out. Okay, so you said I can hear you now.
yeah, I was just saying I'm grateful for the different ways and sacrifices my parents made just to make sure that my sister and I didn't have to experience the things that they did. So we grew up in Southside, Bainbridge Street, and a lot of people used to say we was like the Obamas before the Obamas were the Obamas. So we this beautiful brown family living on the street, but around us, what I'm saying, it was kind of like to the left of us, it was these older ladies, and then to the right of us, it was this room house. And in the room house, you kind of seen anything and everything in the neighborhood. And then outside of that, going up and going over and going to the left, right, all around again, it was just a lot of noise. But I'm grateful that my parents, they grew up, they raised us in a Christian home, a spiritual home, a loving home, you know what I'm saying, a nurturing home, you know what I'm saying, a caring home, up until I was around the age of 12 years old when my parents got divorced, and the house foreclosed on Bainbridge. But up until then, you know what I'm saying, growing up in Southside, it was a beautiful experience. You know, I always say my family was like my favorite pair of clothes, my favorite pair of shoes. You know, that was a thing that I had to hold on to, you know. That was really our identity or my identity growing up. And of course, religion as well. At that same time, my family divorced. Our church had broke down and fell apart at the Rock. It was a really dope church, reached a lot of people in the city. But again, that was a part of the one upbringing. So yeah, growing up in Southside again, had a beautiful family, but you know, kind of how Kendrick Lamar said, "Good kid, mad city."
Mm-hmm.
So good kid, but seeing the madness all around me, had a whole lot of questions, like I was saying earlier, and wanted to bring the answers.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as I could.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you said y'all were like the Obamas. What like inspiration? So I'm assuming that affected you and kind of where you started hanging out at. Is that right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, that's kind of what they say. I jump
Okay.
off the porch. When they got divorced, when you know they went their separate ways, I had my time to figure life out. You know.
Yep. Yep. So I'm sure that was impacting you. What happened after that? Because I got some notes down here that you got into some things, started dibbling and
Yeah.
dabbling. What's going
Yeah, so yeah, again, after they were separating, even during the time of them separating, it was just again the structure. Once you lose structure in the household, you know, again, the kid has the opportunity to dive in and fall into the different traps that's really just set around it. So again, it started diving heavy. It started off with me and my homie, you know what I'm saying? We'd walk to the corner store, actually buy us a Black and Mild, you know what I'm saying? We'd get a little something to drink at uncle's garage or something like that, something simple, something innocent.
on?
And then of course it graduated to, you know, now we smoking weed, now we drinking every week time we get together, you know what I'm saying, at a very young age. And then going to Midlothian High School, like I said, living in Southside, and I'm going to Midlothian High School as well. My rest in peace, my grandfather and my grandma V, you know what I'm saying, they had a house out there in Midlothian. And so in that was again a different atmosphere going from, you know, a majority African American, Black, melanated American community to pretty much an all white atmosphere, all, you know, European American community. And so it exposure to a whole other level of things, you know, from the cocaine to the different level of pills to just the wildness of that life. So from Southside to rolling my own in Henrico to being in Midlothian, I kind of had access just a little bit of everything.
What?
And yeah.
That's crazy. People assume that like being in a county with more funding and for schools and all of that, they think the kids gonna be safe and they ain't gonna
Mm,
experience. You're not gonna experience the same exact thing like you just said. Southside had his own
right.
challenges and ran into some things as well. So what do you say to people who are raising kids that are like, we don't want our kids to go to this school, or they think the kids doing fine because they at this school in the county? What do you say to those parents, and what do you say to those kids in any setting that may be experiencing peer pressure and seeing, drugs and fighting and gang activity? What do you say to both of those people?
Yeah. I would say to the parents, you know, train up a child in the way they should go, and you would direct that path. Like, you know, in most countries, you know, it's different in America because we are run by this capitalistic infrastructure where we have time to, you know, raise our children a lot more than we do here. And, you know, 70% of education happens at the home in most countries. And education centers are just daycares for the most part. So, what I would encourage you is like this system is a system. You know, it's an institution. Like as we know, they have a jail cell for either a bedfather in jail or college for children as early as third grade. And these schools are not made for us to succeed. Especially, I'm grateful that my parents gave me up to 9 to 10 years of private school. That was a gift. I'm privileged to say that, you know. But a lot of these public school systems are institutions that are rooted in a lot of pain and a lot of hate and a lot of misery, and so they're not set up for our children to succeed. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of wringing out of the oldness that's going to happen for a couple more generations, if you honestly ask me. And so I would just say again, just make sure that you are equally invested into your child as you expect the schools to be,
Yeah.
inside and out. And to the children, like observe the mass and do the opposite. You know, like it's gonna be so easy to, and it's gonna look fun. It's gonna look a lot more pleasurable, a lot more enjoyable because because the world and the flesh is romanticized. But at the end of the day, like it's only going to alter your destiny. You know, it's not going to stop it, but it's going to shift the trajectory. If you could have went from A to Z in this amount of time, but because you don't walked off the road and got into the woods and did this and the third, you have expanded the time it takes to accomplish what God has sent you on this earth to accomplish. And
That's
so
so
if that's
good.
how if that's how you got to learn. That's how you got to learn. That's how I had to learn. You know, I'm the type of person who had to learn the hard way. I had to be, as my mother would say, sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But the wise man learns from another person's mistakes. So find somebody, listen to them people that are saying don't do it and don't do it,
And don't do it.
and just they know why for a reason.
I love how you touched on a bit of personal accountability because you got people that came from the mud that went and got it and are doing really
Yeah.
well, went a different way, and then you have people that were given everything and still, bumps in the road maybe, and they still, are doing good with what they had. But like you said, you get off track, you can end up in a whole different path. And so I like how you put personal responsibility because regardless of where you are, you still have the power. If your kids are in private school, public school, homeschool, you have to be vested in your child. And I hear a lot of parents complaining about the school system. And like you said, it is a system. It is what it is. You either going to participate in that or you're not. And if you're going to participate in it, you still have a job to do as a parent. You are their first teacher. So I love how you added some accountability and personal responsibility in there. So love that answer. Fast forward. Oh, I also wanted to touch on how real the school to prison pipeline is. You touched on this a little bit, and I know that we share. I think you got caught up in that too. But a lot of people, if y'all have heard me speak in person, know that I was part of the school to prison pipeline, and it is a very real thing. And so, again, teaching your kids about watching the masses, seeing what's going on, and going the other way, being a leader. Literally, what I tell my 6-year-old, you are a leader, not a follower. Think about what you're doing before you do it. We got a little song. We were like, slow down, focus, listen, pay attention. That's gonna ring in his head because he a fast little. You know how boys are. So teaching them, kids love music and rhythm. So slow down, focus, listen, pay attention. We're not doing what everybody else is doing because when we're so caught up and we eating the wrong foods and we hanging around the wrong people, we just on autopilot. That's how I got into it. But I got into a fight at school and literally went to jail, the detention center from school. You know, because of the systems that they had in place. And so thank you for touching on that. Well, fast forward, I know that your mom, saw all the things that you were going through and she encouraged you to release, to do something different. What was that and what changed the trajectory from getting into the activity with the kids, your friends doing everything? How did you shift from that?
Yeah, so yeah, that was a beautiful. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. She kind of like was breaking down. My mama, she never really beat me. My father, he had the pleasure, the joy of doing that. You know, my mother didn't have to lay hands on me, but she always gave me solid words, solid wisdom, and a lot of lectures.
Yeah.
And so she kind of was breaking it to me like, yo, baby boy, you have, a temper out of this world. I see you going through it. You're grieving in so many different ways. You've lost so much, but you got to find a way to direct that energy into a positive outlet. Channel that energy, all that rage, all that anger, all that pain, and put it somewhere that's going to allow you to grow, that's going to allow you to be creative, that's going to allow you to thrive. And so she encouraged me to pick up my pen, and that's when I started writing poetry. I always was a creative, artistic person growing up, especially when I was in private school. Again, going from oratoricals to writing poetry during then as well, to creating sculptures. Like I loved art, but again, I got away from it when everything changed. And so getting back to that creative side, especially the poetry, allowed me to really put that pain on the paper, you know what I'm saying, and allow myself to find a therapeutic outlet to deal with. Again, it's not therapy. I would never say it's that, but it was definitely a therapeutic tool to allow myself to sit with my thoughts, sit with the things that I've been through, and speak about it in a creative way, in a way that's culturally, normal. You know what I'm saying? When we talking about things that's not normal, it's dope to have a tool that's culturally normal. And that's poetry, that's hip hop, that's rhymes, like you said, that's music. The way we learn in these school systems is not culturally normal. Our people did not learn like this generations ago. I'm telling these people, we did not learn in these boxes. But long story short, what is creative and is our cultures adding that rhythm to
Mm-hmm.
it, making that lesson a song, giving that lesson a beat, giving that lesson some drums. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, my mother, she definitely inspired me to be creative, and I took that poetry And it was a beautiful time because it was coming from my senior year, really. My senior year, really exiting out of my senior years when I really started to take it seriously. And even then, I was writing poetry, but I wasn't fully committed to the words that I was putting on the paper. But at the same time, it was really helping with my anger because it would help me not to be a YN, not to be a crash out, as they say today, So yeah, I just put the pain on the page when tragedy made it, admitted the passion from my voice when they asked me to say it. My words carry the truth that they fear, so they probably hate me. That's why that was one of my first poems I wrote when I was 16 years old. But
I love
yeah, it was a tool, it was a path, it was a road to really where I am now, to doing TED Talks and doing poetry on TEDx Talks stages and stuff.
that's
So,
amazing.
yeah, I'm grateful.
And you
Yeah,
are only how old are you after doing all the things that you do?
just turned 27. Just turned 27.
Crazy. That is so crazy to me. I
Yeah,
thought you were older. You see, lived so many lives. I tell people that all the time. I'll
yeah.
be 34 today. I've lived a lot of lives.
Come on
People
now.
like us have a lot to bring.
Yeah,
And people see folks like us, and they see that light and that tenacity, the passion, ambition, and just that God given confidence. They mistake that for us just waking up like that. Some of that is
mhm,
God. He's
right.
extra
Yeah,
on some people in their own little ways, but we've been through a lot,
yeah,
and you got some darkness to really see and appreciate and be able to share your light in a positive way.
right.
So, yeah, 26 and having
Yeah.
through all you've gone through, and there's still so much more life.
So much. Yeah, that's really revealing itself to me more and more every day. I thought I was old. When you come from where I come from, I just was writing about it today, how we don't even expect to make it past 25.
Exactly.
And so for me, being a wise person and just a knowledgeable and a skilled person, starting businesses at 12 years old, speaking at 12 years old, just having all these different skills and privileges, I still fear that I won't gonna make it past 25. So I had the mindset to, all right, I'm gonna do everything I gotta do. I wrote 2 books before I was 25, doing my TED talk before I was 25, like just trying to check everything off the box that I could
Yeah.
before I was 25, just so I could
Wow.
leave something behind.
Yeah.
But grateful to be 2 years past 25 and we still
Yeah.
here. We
That's
still having a
like
conversation.
there's so much
Yeah.
older you get, the more, I'm pretty sure it's older people around you too. I have a lot of older friends, and I hear them like in their 50s be like, girl, this is my second prime. Well, I'm just getting started. I was
Come
watching this
on.
Tasha K the other day. She used to be an atheist.
Mm.
Now she
Come
God,
on now.
right? She me the whole time. And she'd be like, I don't know how old she is, but I'm sure she's 50 something, looking really good. But she said, I'm just getting started. And hear stuff like that. You like 27, wait till
Man,
you're gonna have so many more versions of you that I'm excited to witness and be in community with. So shout
God,
out to you.
peace. Much love. Thank
Yeah,
you.
started sharing your poetry, sharing your story, and shout out to mom for probably looking at you like, I don't know what the hell this boy going through. How it's only going to be a miracle act of God that's going to save him, which is ultimately what ended up happening. But her, not giving up. I'm sure she was still praying for
Oh
you,
yeah.
but just encouraging you to just pick up your pen, go back to the roots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, that was it. Changed my life.
You ended up,
Huge pivot.
huh?
I say huge pivot. It changed my life for sure.
You ended up going to
Yeah.
college. What was that like?
So yeah, I did after high school, graduated my senior year I was 16, graduated, turned 17 towards the end of the year. I went to John Tyler Community College right after that. So I did 1 semester there before I lost my grandfather and my sister April, my god sister April. My god sister April passed away tragically. And my grandfather passed away from, just a history of substance abuse. But I lost him in December and kind of like just didn't really have any taste for school after that. So that's when I went into the workforce. And now I recently went back to school this past fall at VCU after 9 years of being, just doing the work outside of education and academia.
Yeah, and now you're in school for what, which blows my
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, now we're in school for neuroscience,
That's
neurosurgery. You know what I'm saying? We going.
easy.
Yeah, I love this little thing up here. This big, that big brain with the mic and all that. Yeah, I love that right there.
Oh my
I'm a fan
God.
of the brain.
That is so fascinating. Like, if I said to somebody a couple of months ago, I would never go back to college because I didn't go to like a university. I went
Right.
to college for like 6 months. I actually saw one of my classmates from the dental assistant program I was in. I've never
Mm,
been a good student in terms of like sitting in the classroom. I
yeah.
don't. I am very smart. Have always been very
Right.
bright. Great grades. was sitting and every day and going to the same place at the same time. Just so
Thanks.
I would never go back to school. But now I'm starting to see, I'm like, I be seeing people in their 40s and 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I
Yeah.
love school for neuroscience because I was going to say if I could like go back, I would probably be a neuroscientist. I am so
Yeah.
nerdy when it comes to the brain and neuroscience.
Come
It,
on now.
you know what I'm
Come
saying?
on.
Like, no matter where you at, when you start learning about neuroscience, it gives you
Yeah.
and it makes you know like I can really retrain my mind to do some amazing
Come
things,
on now.
regardless.
Come on. Yeah, you're gonna have me geeking out right now. I'm trying to bite my tongue right now because I'm about to spit. But
Well,
I'm geeking out. But yeah,
for
the
people
brain
who
is crazy.
know what neuroscience is, because
Yeah.
what fascinates me the most is that neuroscience is still to this day like making breakthrough. What's the word I'm looking for? Having breakthroughs essentially with what they're learning about the brain, the things we thought we knew, even
Mm-hmm.
neuroplasticity. That is a
Come
new
on now. New.
what
Yeah.
maybe a decade old, if that. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, so yeah, what is neuroscience for people who don't know?
So yeah, pretty much it's a study of the nervous system. It's a study of your brain, your spinal cord, and everything that stems from it. It's a study of what makes us behind the veil, which makes our decisions. And yeah, it's our decision maker in every single way. So the study of the decision maker is how I like to say it.
That's crazy. So, what's your school schedule? Like, you in full time, part time?
Yeah, full time. So I'm taking online classes right now, on and off. I'm in the process of building Plus Holistic, so we're about to launch that. I did full time fall. I did 6 classes, so that was crazy. But for my first time back in the school, but yeah, I about 4 classes now. And yeah, I'm gonna drop it to probably 2 to 3 classes come next fall, just so I can properly manage, being a father still, taking care of business, all that good stuff. I'm big on not graduating and needing, you know, funding and grants and all the stuff to study what I want to study. By the time I graduate, I want to have the financial bag already secured so we can use that to study and research and create our laboratories and
Yeah.
hospitals and things of that nature.
Have
So
you
yeah, I'm
searched to see if there are any Black neuroscientists, especially men?
Yes, they are. They're older though. A lot of them are older. A lot of them are Asian. And it's funny. Not even funny, but I did poetry at this conference with black male doctors. It was like a month before I chose to go back to school, and it was during the time when I was like, "Yo, I really want to do this. I really want to do it. Am I going to do it?" And the one of the things that like pushed me was like it was 3 black doctors, and they were saying that the amount of young black male doctors is decreasing more and more by the year, and how their generation is in the process of aging out, and how like we need us. Yeah, it's a huge gap,
Yeah,
and just a necessity and a need for it. And I was like, all right,
yeah,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
on it. I got to
I,
tap in. So
I love that. And if y'all need any look, any people for studies or you need some help, call me because that's like so.
yeah,
I can't wait to see you in the white coat.
yes,
Love,
indeed. Thank you. Excited.
yes. So, okay, you started taking off, doing all these speaking engagements, and then you got into like the Black conscious space a little bit more and, started wellness practices. What
Yeah.
brand, who is that when Be Love was developed or was Be Love developed when you were doing poetry?
Yeah, so it's kind of like around the same time. They kind of birth, blossom, and birthed at the same time. So B Love was the poet's name. The artist, the creative. It's funny saying like it's 2 different people. Was out of this world, but learning to integrate is a thing. But yeah, B Love is how I came on the scene as a poet. While simultaneously, it was around the time, probably about 3 years after I stepped away from the church, stepped away from religion. And so around the time I was coming to life and speaking as B Love was around the same time my mom met my now stepdad, my pops, and he was fresh out of prison, did 10 years in prison. So he was coming out with an abundance of, just knowledge and information, Nation of Islam, just different things, messages said black man, fall of America, just all these different things that kind of like put me down the rabbit hole. So yeah, I was going down the rabbit hole and reading Dr. Sebi books and just reading Dr. Lila Africa and just reading everything that I could get my hands on that was
Mm-hmm.
black. James Baldwin, I mean, anything I could find for real at the time. And so I put a lot of that into my poetry to start it off, especially the ones that I shared on stage, like at Tuesday Verses or Lauren and Pickney. I put a lot of the black consciousness and just I mean, Egyptian, ideology, Igbo ideology, just different ideologies into my poetry. And that was around 17, 18. Again, that's the birth of V Love as well. And then it got, I guess you can say, heightened and expanded upon when I went through this wellness warrior training the year my son was born, which was 2021. Crazy. So yeah, 2021, the year my son was born, with this wellness warrior training. And that kind of like sharpened and gave me a lot more language and direction and clarity on that, which I was already studying as an individual. And that was a 12-week training with Queen of Four and Supernova Sloan. And it was an interesting session. Brothers all across the country just tapping into their healing journey. So yeah, that's kind of the journey for that.
Yeah. So you got into more like your spiritual journey. And this is what I'm loving that you're sharing this, because if you're just joining or you're watching a replay, trying to figure out how all this stuff ties in. When I first heard about B Love, he was in the you can exist like I go, listen, I know what I want to do, okay? Like I'm friends with who I want to be friends with.
Yeah.
I study what I study. And Brandon and I had a conversation about I've been having this conversation a lot, but like reckoning with your faith. I was raised Christian. We weren't like diehard Christian. We went to church on Easter, child, if that,
Right.
right? But that was the only thing I've ever heard of, when I was a kid. And so I would say right around the age you were at, I was probably more like 19
Mm,
years old when I went through like my spiritual evolution. And it's funny that you say Queen of Fool, because it was a green book before
mm,
she redid the cover of it. I had somebody that passed in my family, somebody older, and the rest of the family took everything, but ain't nobody touched them
wow.
books. So he had books, and Queen of Four just like stuck out to me, and so that's
Wow.
used to her. And I still have friends that heavily practice her teachings and all
Right.
kind of friends that
Yeah.
in NOI that are traditionally practicing Islam and all kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Hindu friends, right? And so
Exactly.
some of my Christian friends have a problem with that. I don't.
Right.
I believe
Yeah.
we're all God's children. And so Brandon and I were talking about just kind of reckoning with your faith and even just exploring spirituality.
Right.
This is my personal opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we should know why we believe what we believe and challenge what we believe to see if it's what we believe.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who see you that saw what you talked about and what was in your poetry and what was a big part of your life may see where you are now with Christ and be like, yeah, what's wrong with this dude? All kind of things. And so
Yeah.
I love that you are talking about all the different things you study, because I'm going to be at a Kwanzaa festival. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm going to honor my blackness and
Right. Yeah.
all kind of different things. And I think people shut down things that they don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. It's like, you have a conversation about this if you really know, what that is all about. But
Exactly.
if you just it's demonic just to say that because you've never heard of it or because it's not
Yeah.
God-like and you're Christ-like, like we can't even have a conversation about it because you don't even know what I'm talking about. You know nothing about this. You,
Don't.
so it's interesting,
Yeah.
the things you studied and what people know you for is not
Mm-hmm.
a big part of your life right now. So having said everything I just said, because I said a mouth,
Yeah.
what do you have to say to
So
that?
yeah, I mean that's good. I think the first thing that came to my spirit, because I hear that a lot. I'm still in community with a lot of people who practice yoga, crystals, meditation, tarot, different things of that nature. And I always see and hear quotes from the Christian community. Oh, again, that's demonic, that's evil, that's witchcraft. And my first question is, all right, so you're wearing those Nikes on your feet, but you're not telling me that's demonic. And if you do research, that's the thing. Our people are quote unquote destroyed by lack of knowledge. Because if you do research, you'll see that Nike comes from a Greek god in the gate. And so even Adidas, that comes from old deities. And so we say all these things of what is demonic and what is not. And my beautiful thing is the thing that I find beautiful is that God judges the heart for one. And it's a verse in the scripture that says, when Christ was speaking, it says, I have many sheep that are not of this fold. And so I think a lot of times we judge what we see on the outside again because we don't understand it. We never took the time to look into it. I'm grateful that my journey was what it was and is what it continues to be, because it allowed me to have a different perspective. And the perspective is not just solely what I grew up in. I grew up again going to church Sunday through Sunday. I did not skip a beat, and I mean, a lot of people. I don't say this pridefully, and I don't say this for ego, but I know the Bible. I know the Word of God. Like I know the songs. I know Scripture. Like I get it. Like I can quote it. It's written on my heart. While simultaneously, I'm grateful that I was able to study and explore, just to be able to see the different perspectives that's out here. and respect it at the end of the day. Because that's the thing, is like you can't say you are a Christian and you're not moving with love and respect. You know, you can't say you are a follower of Christ, you know, a child of God, if you're not moving with humility at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, we all out here doing something that God don't think is good. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you think you're at the top.
Gossiping, talking about the people who you don't agree with. You know what I'm
Come
saying?
on now. The moment you judge it, you over here, you know, you're going against just love. If it's not love, it's not what it's supposed to be. So yeah, God know me, God know where I stand, God know my heart. I love the word of God. I'm sitting here with the word of God right now. I keep the word of God on me like I used to keep my gun on me. I'm telling you, I used to keep my gun on me when I walked to the bathroom. I keep the Bible on me just as much now. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's like I'm studying it from a point of, because again, I've studied everything else.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I read the Bible because I was instructed to, but everything else I studied it because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm giving myself time, the opportunity to study the Bible because now I actually want to. Not because I have to, not because my parents told me to, not because I'm being demanded to, not because I'm scared and I'm about to go to hell. Like that's even a whole other conversation. I'm over here like looking into the Hebrew of words and like the Greek of the words and seeing what the text that it was originally written in. And it's like we again, we really die from a lack of understanding. You know, we
Yeah.
perish from a lack of
Yeah.
understanding. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for I know I always say I'm in it like this. It's like it's easy to be a Christian in the church, but can you still be a Christian when you everywhere else outside the church? Can you
Yeah.
still be a Christian in the temple? Can you still be a Christian in the mosque? Can you still be a Christian and you know what I'm saying, et cetera, et cetera. So and most people they can't, because they're gonna come in there and talk about anything and everything instead of just seeing the love for what it is, you know, and still embracing and being able to stand on your faith and what you
Come
believe in.
on.
Because do you really believe in it?
That's
If like, yeah, that's a whole other conversation. Facts.
So essentially, you were like a revolutionary around in our city. Like if there was something going on, something that needed to be said, expressed, you know, for the community, you were there. And
Yeah.
so you were known as like a revolutionary. You are married. You talked about being a father, and talk about your family for a little bit. Would love to hear more about that as it relates to what we were just talking about as well.
Yeah, so it's funny you pivoted from revolutionary to family because that's exactly how it happened. You know, like for verbatim, 2020, me and my wife, we often talk about
Beautiful.
yeah, grateful. Thank you. Yeah, so we talk about the aspect of love and war and how we kind of found love in the midst of war. And so coming from 2020, of course, we had COVID, and simultaneously a lot of the things that was kicking off in the city, and cities across the globe, was very loud,
Mhm.
for lack of better words. And as you said, as a person, people called them and said, "Yo, B, we need you here, we need you there. Show up." I showed up. Like, that wasn't nothing to it but to do it. Because again, I was already talking about this for the last few years in my poetry. Like, yeah, forget this, I'm gonna shoot up this, and Black Power, da 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 da, just going hard. You know what I'm saying? Poem after poem after poem, drilling it for the last
And
4 years. So for me, 20,
pinning that,
so
you had
talk
shared
about it.
that I thought was really important to say publicly. A lot of the stuff you were saying, you touched on it a little bit, that you were saying on stage. Sometimes you would finish, you know, rapping or doing your poetry and get off and do exactly what you said people shouldn't
Man,
do.
you know that song Kendrick got when he was like, he was talking about like, yeah, if somebody killed my brother, this is how I feel, and it was everybody getting killed. Man, this is how I look. So he
Look,
pretty much talked about how he had killed somebody.
with all these K words now.
Oh, yeah. Kick. We playing soccer.
Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, he was pretty much like, all right, now let me hop into this conference and speak to these kids real quick about gun violence. And so when I tell you like that was my life, like I'd be on stage, I'd be talking about gun violence, I'd be talking about all this stuff, I'd be talking about, all right, don't take the pharmaceutical pills, don't sip the lean, don't do the Xans, all this stuff. And then I go, whether it be that same night or a couple of days later, now I'm popping pills. Now I'm sitting talking about, oh, this he did what? Oh man, let's do this, let's do that, let's do the third. You know what I'm saying? So thank God he kept me safe from overdose. Thank God he kept me safe from, you know what I'm saying, them chains in that way. Had felt the chains, but not in the way that I had to go all the way down. You know what I'm saying? So I just thank God that I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm still allowed to tell the story. Cause yeah, I was saying the poems, but I was living like I was one of the pulpit preachers I saw growing up as a kid. And as for lack of better words, like I was him. Like the
Mm,
same people that I was judging, I became him, you know, like
yeah.
talking about respecting women and then becoming a womanizer off stage. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? As soon as I get off stage, oh, and my homie used to say something. He was like, man, yeah, poetry bring the poetry bring the, you know what I'm saying? I used to take it and run with it, like, yeah, go on stage, hit the poem, sweating when I get off stage, walk off stage, I'm the man.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm getting phone numbers now. I ain't respecting no boundaries. I ain't respecting who she is as a woman. I'm objectifying them. I'm treating her as another tool, another object, you know, and really just using mine and getting off and going on to the next one. And that was terrible. And I have had to ask the Lord for forgiveness 1,000 times, you know what I'm saying? Because I done some things that I'm not proud of, you know what I'm saying, from the drug abuse to the being a womanizer and just using my poetry for as a passage that I saw growing up as a kid. And so yeah, I ain't gonna go too deep on that, you know what I'm saying?
Look,
We can get it in. We can go hard.
you married now.
Oh yeah, you know, we can, yeah, big time, you know what I'm saying?
So talk about that. Talk your family a little bit more. I know you were there and I had stopped
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, going back to that, yeah. So again, like I said, 2020, that's when, well, we met in 2019. I was doing poetry at the Speakeasy, one of those little Jason Leary type of movie type
Yeah,
of
yeah,
vibe, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Real cute, real romantic type. But long story short, 2020 came around. That's when I slid into the DMs. She ended up moving to Atlanta, right after we met a few days later. And so yeah, slid into the DMs, blah, blah, blah. We get to talking, we get to vibing. But again, 2020 was hitting off. When the first night where we was doing our protest in the city, where the rocks got thrown into Richmond headquarters, RPD headquarters, like I was right there saying my black mother's got a set of black rule poem, cussing out the police, like, yeah, nigga, I'm a black boy who won't take notes. I'm the black boy who keeps that pistol in the police face, like, yeah, nigga, what's up? Throwing the set up and everything. It was crazy, fire everywhere. So we going nice, cutting off the bridges, you know what I'm saying, just hype, going back and forth. And she living in Atlanta, so we creating this long distance love in the middle of all this fire, all this chaos. She's from Richmond. We both from Southside Richmond. You know what I'm saying? So we both got that Southside. We call it a Southside love story. But long story short, you know what I'm saying? It was one time where like I was at the Maymont Park for about 4 or 5 days straight. You know, before I think it was before they actually took the thing down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when there was like a lot of tourists and stuff. So they had called me out to march for one of the Black women marches. And so we marched for that joint. Had the shotty walking down Broad Street. Like yeah, I'm not about to just talk about it. I'm ready to stand on it too. I was ready to stand on business and everything in these messages. But long story short, ended up going on the battlefield, sleeping out there with a shotgun on my chest, not eating. You know what I'm saying? Not doing like just looking crazy, ready to go to war, thinking something ready to pop. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole other stuff. We could have that conversation off camera. There was a lot of stuff going on out there. And I definitely see why the presence was necessary because the cops really didn't care. But long story short, this woman came from Atlanta and like literally dragged me off the field. You know what I'm saying? Dragged me out the middle of the war and took me back to Atlanta for like 7 days and kind of like just pulled me out the matrix, pulled me out the war. And just ever since then, like, you know, we took our this love and we ran with it. You know what I'm saying? She had a beautiful son, has a beautiful son when we first met. And he was about 5, 6 years old at the time. So he's around 12 now. That next year, you know, we end up having our first son. So we ain't waste no time. You know what I'm saying? We ain't waste no time. As the old folks say, we was out there courting. We was
Yeah,
out there courting.
yeah.
But Lord knows, glory to God. So we had our baby boy saving again. It's the same year that I was going through the wellness warrior training. You know, same year I started Love THC, the herbal tea company.
Mm-hmm.
We had our son saving and we started that business together. And yeah, that's been a journey in itself. You know, like I will always say like I've written a lot of poems as since I've been a father and a husband. A lot of poems that I haven't shared on stage, but some beautiful pieces. But I would say like one thing that I spoke of, that I did say in a TED talk was having a family is like having a mirror in front of your face. And oftentimes it's a broken mirror showing just many different pieces of you and letting you see yourself for who you really are. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one thing that family did for me. You know, that's one thing that relationship, that's one thing that love, you know, partnership, blended family, everything that comes with it has done for me is really show me
Yeah.
myself in ways that I never expected and really show me what true commitment looks like. You know, and what true love is. I had a poem back in the day saying true love doesn't exist, it's a myth. And that's a lie. True love does exist. Just the way they told us true love looked like is a myth. And so
Fact.
true love is real. True love is true life.
Listen.
And as crazy as life is,
Yeah.
love is too. But
Yeah.
you gotta be depend. You have to you have to be committed to it as much as you are committed to life if you really want it to work.
That
So
is
that's one thing I've
so
learned.
good and so freaking true. True love is true life. And I think, like you said, the stories we've been fed, the Disney movies and the love movies and
Hmm.
no, it is not like that. You got to
Hmm.
sit there with old folks that really been through some real
Come
love
on.
that still commit. it to this day because they want to be here. Like, that's real love, in my opinion. A
Mom.
lot of, you got to listen to them because they're going to tell you, oh, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be ugly. Like when Michelle Obama said it was 10 straight years she didn't like her husband.
And of them things. Yo, man.
Easy. So we got it wrong. And
Come
we try
on now.
relationships, not knowing who we are, not loving ourselves. Same thing with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And we just in a battlefield.
Yeah, for
But
real.
it's reclaiming your wholeness first, going into an understanding, having EQ,
Yep.
understanding yourself and that other person and their humanity, how you show up toward them and vice
Yeah.
versa. Of the point fingers,
Yeah.
it's three pointing back at
Come
us.
on now.
And when we're saying we don't know what to do, we want to run, we want to cut people off, we don't know how to have conflict resolution,
Come
communicate.
on now.
It's real life.
It's
And
real
if you don't
life.
have them tools, and I'm not married, so I can only
Man.
imagine. If you don't have them tools, yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
be a mess.
Yeah. Just like that. Gotta have them tools and gotta use them. You have to use them because the one thing that had most, and the thing that's crazy, the saddest part about it is most people have the tools.
Mm,
Like you whether we realize it or not, we've seen the tools or we've been told the tools, but the action of actually using the tools,
yeah,
that's the hardest part about it. Is like actually picking them up because it's so easy. The same way it's easy to get in the streets and run up a bag and make more money in one day than most people make in a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year. That's easy because it feel good. Arguing, a lot of times you feeding your flesh, it feels good. It's like I hate you, forget this, and that lack of conflict, right? That lack of being able to communicate, that lack of being able to see yourself, the lack of the addition of pointing your finger and scolding and not again taking yourself out of your own, that feels good because again that's what the flesh wants to get that ego stroke and walk around and I'm the one, I said it, yeah. But at
yep,
the end of the day, it's like, yeah, it's not worth it. I love it all the aspect of we're all kids. Let's just
yeah,
have a conversation. We some babies out here trying to figure it out. And it's
yeah.
hard.
And
It's hard.
everybody's end goal is to get their emotional needs met.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Want to
So
be heard, want to be seen.
exactly. Exactly. I had to really process even what I do now, like as a speaker, like very similar to you. I'm like, that's so interesting. Even though when I was a kid, I was very mouthy and very,
Mm.
and my auntie used to call me so for real. She was like, that damn Soleil. She said, she ain't lying though. Like she was, I don't know how she know to say this, but she ain't lying.
Right,
She
yeah.
said, but she ain't lying. But now, as I got older, I'm gonna say like middle school, high school, there was some attention deficit there because my mom
Mm.
was always at work. She had two twin daughters, one
Right.
quiet, trying to check in with her, make sure she okay. This one being loud, getting kicked out of school, so now you don't want to deal
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
Process that in a very different way. And so I did have attention seeking tendencies. And
Mm.
so like I want good attention and
Right.
good attention because I've gone through so many different things, the mental health things and the school to prison pipeline, all these other things.
Right.
And like in my story to help our kids, to teach them about their
Mm.
brain, to teach them about
Mm-hmm.
trauma, to teach them about mental health, mental wellness,
Right.
not just mental health, wellness,
Yeah.
and how to achieve that even in the midst of what they're going through and the things they're gonna go through as adults. So yeah, it's a really cool like way to look at my transition.
Yeah.
But seeking attention is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, again, we're just kids, little babies trying to have our needs
Yeah.
met. Why are you seeking
Yeah.
attention? There's bad attention. You don't
Right.
want all. I finally figured that thing out and put a positive spin on it. And so I had to put that out there because I know people may see folks like me, make like you, and they
Yeah.
always God called
Yeah.
us. We done been through a lot.
Come on now.
Now
Went through it.
our voices and our gifts and our stories for
Yeah.
good. Shout out to you. Just had to throw that out there.
Come on now. That's real. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Fast forward, um, April 2023.
Okay.
You found yourself even, out in the community and standing up for everybody and protesting and using your voice, working with kids, the community, serving the community, being active in the community. You felt like you needed some attention and some help.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get to that point?
Yeah. So yeah, it was a time period where, love was feeling its heaviest, for lack of better words. And love, and again, love is life.
Mhm.
And life was pulling out all the stops emotionally. And you know, over the years of being a father and building business and being in the community, I've had, very close a lot of dark days, for lack of better words. Times where I would just isolate, go ghost, and disappear. I've been really close with and trigger warning. Taking my own
Mm-hmm.
life, and very very close by the grace of God. Only He can get the credit for me still being here.
Mm-hmm.
And then April 23rd is when I kind of realized that, yeah, I don't have it all together. Everything that I'm bringing to community, everything that I'm sharing, all of the tools that I know about, all of the tools that I'm talking about, I'm encouraging people to pick up. I was not picking up for myself, and I was at a place where I was, thankfully again not at a place of return to a place of uh, suicide attempt. However, I was at a place where I know if I didn't go get the help that I needed, I may not have had the chance to be having this conversation today. And so I went in and I went to the Richmond Behavioral Health Authorization. I got a counselor, a mental health therapist, and that's when it really started to reveal itself. I was just, breaking down. It was hard for me to really hold on to the tears that was once clogged up. Like on therapy, it's like the first time I really felt like I had a safe space to really share, and just even though I had my doubts of trusting the therapeutical system, and what if somebody hacked the notes and found out everything about them, just so conspiracy theories in my head. But I still felt safe, and in that safety, I shared, just a lot of the pain, a lot of the grief, a lot of the losing my parents, losing my loved ones, seeing so many people my age and where I come from, pass away, or different things. That my parents divorced, just all these different levels of grieving
Mm-hmm.
identity, from going to a revolutionary and a bachelor to a husband and a father and a stepfather in a matter of 6 months to a year, So it was just so many transitions that I never allowed myself to um, really heal from. But ultimately, I would use work, like I said, drugs, so weed, whatever it be, liquor, whatever it might be, sex, whatever it may be, to mask the pain. And again, 2023 April, didn't couldn't mask it anymore. Couldn't mask it from my therapist, and couldn't mask it for myself. I remember driving, leaving out of Elwoods, and I let somebody drive. Like I was like, go ahead, you know what I'm saying? They gave me the little nod and smile. And I remember smiling back, and I remember catching my smile in the side view mirror and just looking at how much pain was behind that. Like that was the first time I saw the pain behind my smile. I like looked into my eyes and looked at the smile, and I just saw myself, and I just looked so broken.
Yeah.
And so I went to RBHA, and that was an interesting experience because I ended up seeing people who I have helped. I saw people in there that I was supporting in community, thinking I'm here to, check up on somebody. The whole time I'm here so I can get checked up on myself, you know what I'm saying? And that was, again, another very humbling moment. And I'm grateful for it because, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation if I didn't take those steps. But long story short, yeah, I checked in. I got had a really good conversation. What my therapist was already assuming, they were able to go in and verify and just confirm the conversation about PTSD, different level of depression, a different level of bipolar. And so yeah, and I kind of yeah, it was an interesting conversation. And my mother, my mother, she never wanted me to go see anybody growing up. That was the thing in the black community is like, as soon as you get that label on you, you know what I'm saying? That's almost like getting a F on you, getting a felony, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? When you get these different diagnoses and different labels, mental health wise, as a young black boy growing into a young black man.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I told her about it, she, oh baby, take it with a grain of salt. And yeah, I took it with a grain of salt, but also I'm like, all right, yeah. Things started to make sense. This is probably the reason why you had all them holes in your wall on Bainbridge Street that I had to patch up, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I was going in there going crazy. But yeah, I'm grateful to be actively, again in therapy. Well, take some time out of therapy because I'm searching for somebody I can get in person. I'm really want the right in person therapist. I can come in, sit on your couch, kick back, and just like let it all hang out. You know what I'm saying? But that's the virtual therapy started becoming. I just didn't have the connection that I needed. So I'm in process of scouting and vetting different therapists for that. But again, just the tools. I'm grateful for the tools that my therapist did, grant me and give me, and just the encouragement in the space. Because a lot of times, like, reality is, even as I was writing poems, again, even a lot of poems didn't make the stage. A lot of pain didn't make the poems, and a lot of the pain was so real. I didn't even feel comfortable talking about it with myself. And
Mm.
so it wasn't until, like, I don't know what type of placebo effect that they're going into therapy, taking therapy for the first time as a black man at 25, 26 years old, who've been asking for it since he was a child. Like, I don't know if that just was like, oh dang, I've been asking for this, and it kind of broke through. But long story short, like, I know I'm grateful for having that space to even just talk about things I thought I would never talk about.
Yeah.
Talk about things that I thought I would have to take to the grave. So
Yeah. I think first off, thank you for sharing everything that you have. I want to write down one more thing, make sure I don't.
yeah,
I want to say this about therapy, what you had just mentioned. I don't know if it was like a placebo or
yeah,
but for me, in my experience, I remember this one particular therapist that I saw. Actually, she wasn't even a therapist. She was a naturopathic doctor. The way that they facilitate their appointments with you, you had a whole hour.
right,
And they're trying to figure out what's going on with you, the individual, the person.
right,
So they can get you on a wellness plan that is specific for you. They cannot do that unless they know you and what you've been through, right?
right.
We talked for a whole hour. She just listened. I think with therapy, it's a non-biased
Mm-hmm.
person. You're being heard for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
truly, and you can
Yeah,
censor yourself and feel
yeah,
sorry for nobody
right.
feelings. Your mom, whether you tell her about your trauma or not, is a whole different story. But if you
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable doing, you gonna tell it a certain way to pass by.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that may happen
Right.
to her or people that she know. Her
Yeah,
parents,
that's right.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And so you get to censor yourself. You don't have to censor yourself or filter yourself.
yeah.
And I think maybe that's what it is too. I don't
Mm-hmm.
placebo, man.
Yeah,
And it's not. There's so many different types of therapy too.
right, right, right.
Telling my boyfriend the other day about this specific type of therapy that I went through for a specific trauma that I had, and
Right.
it worked almost like magic.
Yeah,
It was crazy, and I was
yeah.
struggling with this thing for over a decade.
Wow.
I, I couldn't see a certain word. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't. If I smelled something that triggered, I mean, it was bad.
Right. Yeah.
I avoided this thing in this situation for over a decade,
Goodness.
and to this specific type of therapy, EMDR, I don't struggle
Right.
with it no more. Like
Right.
exposing myself to the same type of situation, I would have never even thought about that
Wow. Right.
before therapy. So fast forward 2 years to April 2025.
Right.
Since these diagnoses, since these realizations that you had in therapy, when you look back, were there any signs? Well, you kind of touched on it, but were there any signs, and did it make life make sense for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say it again. It confirmed a lot of the things that I already suspected. And I always had a feeling that I had
Mm.
PTSD. Always had a feeling that I was a little bit on the edge when it came to my temper as far as being bipolar. Like, again, I was a bookworm. I love to read. I love to research. And so a lot of things I was probably self-diagnosing from one standpoint, while simultaneously again hearing the stuff was like, all right, I can drop my shoulders because it's kind of like, all right, you're not crazy. If these professionals, people who have went to school for it and studied it, can tell you what you're already feeling, then yeah, you might be on to
Yeah.
something. So yeah, it definitely was a confirmation for me, and um, I made sure I didn't use it as like a crutch or an excuse because I didn't want to like be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
because I am struggling with bipolar, then I have a right to get angry and get an attitude or get pissed off, get extremely irritated whenever I want to. Or because I'm struggling with PTSD, I have a right to not be affectionate and not be fully touchy or not be, loving and caring with my partner because I'm looking around the corner, seeing somebody about to kick the door down or something about to happen, this, that, left, and this, that, and the third. So again, realizing that all right, you're dealing with this stuff and you need to address
Yeah.
it and actively, work on it, or it's going to not only ruin you but ruin the relationships that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So and a lot of some relationships did burn, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully I'm thankful for the ones that still stand. I'm thankful for the ones that are still here today, um, and the ones who stuck around through my mental health journey. Because yeah, again, you can know something, but a lot of times you're in denial until, unfortunately, I mean that, yeah, until you hear it from professionals, for lack of better words.
That was like you should go get checked out. You should go talk to somebody. Anybody in your life ever say that?
Um, I mean, I always said, told myself, like since a kid, like I used to beg my mom, like, Mom, I need
Right.
therapy, help me, like I need it. And again, it was just always, all right, let's go to my mom and my dad, tell them both, and it was always kind of like, oh, we can go talk to the pastor at the church. I'm like, man, I'm not talking to this man. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
You
Like,
know, you had brought up the interview I did with Paula last month, and something I
yeah,
forgot to say on it, and I feel like it's very important to say right now. I love my home church pastor. Don't get me wrong;
mm,
two very real can exist at the same time, even if they feel opposite.
right,
I didn't know any better. I didn't hold therapy to such a high regard. Like now. And I went to the pastor one time. I was in a really dark place, and I tried to tell him what was going on. And he looked so uncomfortable. He
mm,
because he ain't got the credentials, baby. He
yeah,
but they are in theology.
right, exactly, yes,
A lot of
indeed,
harm
yeah,
that is done to a lot of people through religious organizations when
mm,
people play positions that they are not in positions to play. I'm not saying
exactly,
it's not important,
yeah,
but sometimes we could be doing more harm than good when we don't understand the brain, when we don't understand neuroscience, when we don't understand
yeah,
when we don't
yeah,
understand illness.
yep,
And so you are a person listening that is struggling, you like, something off, or your friends and your family keep saying something off or something's different about you, or you get that inkling inside that you need to go talk to somebody.
right,
Listen to what your mama saying, your grandma,
right,
auntie, uncle that's like, I had a bad experience, whatever. This is your life, your experience, and you don't want
right,
yourself in a place that you can't come back from
mm,
because people love you. We need you, and we want you to continue shining your light. So I just said, here I am,
yeah,
owning mental health business,
mm,
not because I'm a professional in that space, but because I advocate for it, telling you that just this month I'm at like a 1.5
yeah, right,
into any of us. So definitely get the help that you
right,
need. Um,
that's good,
what I wanted to say earlier too, when I was talking about that naturopath doctor, that 1 hour appointment that I had, I felt like she saw me,
mm,
and what she said to me, I had never been called this before, and I got a whole necklace. Y'all go shop the merch on. It says
yeah,
on it. She said, "Wow!" Like she literally looked at me and just paused, and I felt like
wow,
you heard me and she saw me. She was like, "You are incredibly resilient."
mm,
I had never been called that before, and I
right,
looked at the things that I went through in my life and something that I had to get over. It just was my life. Like I
yeah,
my family.
yeah,
And worse than other people's families. So we go through a lot as people, and it's time to sit back and really process some of that. And
right,
I'm glad that you public kudos because I know that being a public figure and somebody that a lot of people knows, um, that a lot of people know that it can be extreme pressure personally on you to not go get
mm,
help, to not
mm,
talk to anybody, to be it's a valid, I was gonna say to be validly afraid. That's not the word I'm looking for. To be rightfully so afraid of somebody seeing your notes and telling somebody
yeah,
leaking it because everybody know you.
right,
That you didn't let that stop you from getting the help that you
mm,
needed because it's a lot
mm,
of pressure to be who you used to be because everybody saw
mm-hmm,
you as that person. But it's like, nah, be humble. The only
yep,
person is perfect is God,
come
and
on,
that look at you and put you on a pedestal, have no business doing that.
come
Um,
on,
thank God you took yourself off that pedestal and said, "There's
mm,
somebody higher than me that got the answers," and
that's it,
I'm gonna yield to that. So
that's
shout out
it,
to
amen, thank you, then shout out to us, we doing the work,
yeah.
doing the work.
You want to say before we close out the podcast?
Yeah. Oh wow. So
Oh, you got to talk about your baptism and
yeah,
your
yeah. And and then just to wrap it up, to bring what we're here, what we're doing now. I got, yeah. After going to RBHA, a few months later, I ended up getting baptized, and I ended up, yeah, coming back home and giving myself to the Lord. And so yeah, that seems like the same year. Time is so funny; it goes by and it blends together. But yeah, around that time, yeah, I ended up getting baptized at Life Church, RVA.
TLC.
Yeah, TLC in the building, Pastor Vernon and the family. And that was a beautiful experience because it gave me something that was one always in me. But again, like I was speaking on earlier, I was in a position where I was, searching for myself, and not just because I was being told to do this on a Sunday morning or on a Saturday night. But a little bit after getting baptized, I ended up losing three family members back to back. Like I was on fire. Like that was like for 3 months, I was just like, oh yeah. I got the Lord in me. Like, can't nothing stop me. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Like, I'm talking about put a tattoo of Jesus on my forehead if it would have went another 2 months with that
Mm-hmm.
energy. But I say all that to say, um, uh, I lost my. I was walking out of church one day in the middle of September. I got the call that my uncle had overdosed and passed away. He was in his mid-30s,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got a call. He had overdosed and passed away. I'm talking. I remember dropping down to my knees in the middle of Life Church parking lot. But I got up and I'm like, all right, we still gonna praise God. Like it's all right. Like it's stay strong. You know, I was in the process of going through one of my first sobriety journeys, or my second one now, but going through one of my first sobriety journeys. So I was in the process of like being extremely vulnerable, extremely emotional, and really trying to stay sober, trying not to fall off the wagon. And so yeah, I was on fire. Then two weeks after I found out he had overdosed, after trying to keep his strength, I found out my auntie Kim and my mama V had passed away, and had to speak at their funerals on the same day. And so after that, I was kind of like, it was like blowed my heart. You know, I was with my family. You know, after the funeral, after the repast. You know, late night they was telling stories. I'm gonna sip a little liquor. I'm gonna smoke a little weed. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And my that walk with the Lord was very shaky for a while. You know, because it's like, dang God, I'm here. Like I'm turned up, and like you just boom, 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 hit me 3 times in a row. But again, that got back on path with just time, honestly. Time, a lot of time, took a lot of time, and really been getting back to that energy of the baptism probably for like the last 6 to 8 months, you know. And I think that's kind of when you saw me get back on social media, I started posting more, started being more active, started being more engaged. Because again, I was charged up, life hit, then failed, and now I'm kind of in the process of charging up again, for lack of better words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's funny. I'm reading the story of Job right now, and that's what I've been digesting. I didn't know it was 41 chapters or 42 chapters. I thought it was like a quick little 2, 3, 4 chapter book, but like the story is a lot deeper than just the quick um, pitch people usually give.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to know that even when I make my bed in heaven, or even when I make my bed in Sheol, God is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And even with the going from being on fire to even where I'm now, it's like I'm just grateful to know that like it's something that's so much bigger than me about this life. That it's like as soon as I deal with things and they need to be addressed, but like my problems aren't the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of times, and that's what pushed us the a lot of my mental health episodes was thinking my problems were the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I'll end it with that. Like, if
Yeah.
you think your problems are the end of the world, I promise you, like, they are not. Our God is so much bigger than any problem that you ever face. And even if you don't believe in God, just understand life is so much bigger. Like, if we if you feeling down, take some time to go on a hike and climb onto the mountains and just look over the mountains and
And
just
see
look
how
and
small
see
you
it.
really are in the grand scheme of things.
We're minuscule, you
Yeah.
know. So address it, deal with it, but don't let it take you out. Because life is too beautiful. It's like you can. A lot of times, I experienced the best moments of my life after I was ready to take it, and like that's like, dang, I was this far
Yeah.
away from not even experiencing, the beauty. And I know, again, I'm only 27. I know I have so much more
Yeah.
life to live, so much more life to experience.
Yes.
And so just to think that if I would have took it at 25, I wouldn't. Lord, I pray I make it to 35. I pray I make it to 45, 55. But again, I'm gonna put it in His hands and not my own. So lean not on your own
Yes.
understanding and trust God, and
I,
God got you.
I
That's it.
said.
That's all
A
I'm saying.
couple things I want to say to you before I ask you a question and we close out.
Yeah.
The words balance come to my mind when I think
Mm,
about your story, and so and also the phrase more life. There's
mm,
so much more life. You have so much more to do, and trust me, I know that the crown is heavy.
mm,
I understand it. But continue building that soul tribe around you, your personal soul tribe, like your real one. You don't need a whole bunch. Even if you just
mm,
got one, that's a blessing because some people don't have that.
mm.
So I'm part of your soul tribe. If you cool with that, you hit
Uh,
me up. Praying for you, but balance that. Find that balance.
yeah.
There's no extreme in life. We all just walking a tightrope. And if you lean too far to the right, you gonna fall. You lean too far to the left, you gonna fall. So just keep that
Mm,
balance. And I'll just remember that there's so much more life. Like, you have so much more to do. You've done so much. When you told me how old you was, I was like, what? And so there's so many people behind us, because we gonna age out at some point.
Right.
I'm not trying to die before I help who I'm
Right.
supposed to help. You know,
Right.
because we ain't go through all of this for
For
nothing.
sure.
And it reminds me of that all the time. You didn't go through all of that for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wasted. That's what Sheila battled down at TLC.
Mm-hmm. Come on now.
Love her. So
Yeah.
thank you. Last thing I want to ask you is, what do you do to maintain your mental health and find joy? What do you do?
Oh man. Yeah. Lately it's been a lot of time in nature and a lot of time in my word. Oh man, like I just been taking a lot of time for silence and solitude,
Mm-hmm.
to quiet out the noise. I think a lot of times the overwhelmed feeling comes from, one, the day-to-day mundane task of being in this rat race called capitalism, and two, just the personal things outside of the jobs. That and then number three, the cell phones. That's a whole nother additive. So we have cell phones, technology, TV, television, work, relationships, all of these things are compound interests that overstimulates our nervous system, for lack of better words.
Yes,
And
God.
so taking time in nature to, reprogram myself and to resettle myself has been like a gift that I've given myself. It's a book that I'm reading called Nature's Fix, which is really good. And then taking my Bible while I'm out there in nature. And like I said, really just being on fire for studying this for myself. It's so much in this book that's groundbreaking. It's like I'm reading, I can see the pages come see the words come off the pages. And it's like, wow, this is stuff that's happening right now, whether it be my story, whether it be my mother's story, my sister's story, my wife's story, my homie's story, whoever's story it may be. I'm seeing it in scripture, and I'm seeing how God is showing answers and ways to maneuver through these situations and maneuver through these wildernesses. So yeah, staying grounded in my prayer, my praise. I love prayer. I've been writing a lot. Hey, I've been writing folk rock music.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Crazy. Yeah, yeah. Y'all about to see me looking real. Yeah, folk rock music. That's a whole. But like I've been writing just that from that in my poetry. Like I've been, and it's been like a lot of soul in it. It's crazy. But I've been putting a lot of soul in my poems, and that's something like I said earlier. A lot of times the pain didn't make the pages, and so now I've been putting the pain on the pages, and I've been receiving antidote and answers from these pages right here, and I've been getting my prescriptions through prayer, getting my fire through praise, and getting some peace and balance through nature. So yeah, it's hiking season too, baby. Y'all get out in them. We in Virginia. People
Oh,
come all around the world to come in and hike in our mountains. Get busy.
that's,
Like we have some beautiful mountains.
that's so
I'm telling you.
good. Thank you for being
Yeah.
of the Soul Tribe family, for blessing us here in the Soul Seat. It is a pleasure. And I just want to thank you for being a thriver, and for continuing to mind your mind,
Yeah.
and story with us. I appreciate you.
Thank you again for having me. Thank you for the space that you are creating for not only people to tell their stories, but ultimately for other people to hear the stories and hopefully see themselves in it in some type of way, find some type of one little gem, maybe if it's just a crumb, hopefully somebody finds some nourishment. So thank you for creating these platforms and everything that you do and the light that you shine in this community. Truly grateful for you and truly grateful to have you a part of my soul tribe and me a part of yours. We
Uh,
locked in. We locked
yeah,
in.
appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'm going to stay on for just a couple more minutes and make some closing announcements. But thank you, and I hope you have an amazing day.
My pleasure. Hope you do the same. Peace.
Thank you. Y'all, that wraps up episode 43 of Soul Seat Conversations with Brandon, aka Be Love. As you can see, it was amazing. It was insightful. If you need a reason to hang on, baby, okay? If you're struggling with your faith, if you're struggling with your mental health, watch this episode, share it with somebody, and just be inspired. Again, if you have a resilient story or mental health story that you want to share, reach out to us. My story at soulriseessentials.com. You can see this episode and more on our YouTube channel. Just type in Soul Rise Essentials. That's the YouTube page. Or you can just type in Soul Seat Conversations and you will see the playlist pop up on our playlist on YouTube. So see you next episode. See you next month for episode 44. And I want to say another shout out to the Soul Tribe family. If y'all made it to the end, don't go ahead and put in description. No, I can't talk. I think it's time for me to get up off of here. Go ahead and put in the comments below hashtag replay, and you can drop some sunshine emojis in the comment section to let us know you rocked with us all the way into the end. That's pretty much it, y'all. I want you to continue to mind your mind and shine your lights, and I will see y'all next month. What was that? I'm getting old. I am not cool no more, honey. I was trying to do this the heart that other churn be doing. It's like 4 different versions of hearts. Anyway, bye. Y'all have a great day. Peace.